when you have 30 seconds remaining. Speakers registered on the consent agenda items will be taken following in the announcements of any items being pulled from the consent agenda. Speakers registered for non-consent agenda items other than the public hearings and zoning cases will be taken together prior to those items being acted upon. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items within those blocks that they registered to speak. Thank you.
Good evening, Fort Worth. Welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Today's invocation will be by the Reverend Dr. Brian Coulter, the First Presbyterian Church of Fort Worth. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and the state of Texas flags.
Grace and peace, good evening. Thank you for that. I've got a litany where I come from. I say God is good, and you say all the time. You know the litany. Look at that. God is good. And all the time. It's in God's goodness that we gather, so let's gather with a word of prayer. God of grace, God of all goodness, bless those who have assembled here this evening. Bless those who have been seated to my left. Bless those with seats of authority, with those in power. Help them to wield it well. Bless those who are seated on my right. Bless those with concerns. Bless those with issues. May they speak to them out of love with a quest for justice. God, continue to bless our efforts here this night, and we ask that you send your Holy Spirit. Send your Spirit with wisdom, with kindness, and with that loving justice. We pray all this in your holy name, and we love you, Lord. And all God's people say, Amen.
Mayor and Council, there's one correction to the item order for tonight. There's one item that will be pulled from consent, and that is MNC 220850. And that's pulled by Councilmember Beck so she can recuse. The first item of business is special presentations and introductions, and the first is the presentation of a proclamation for the Sigma Gamma Rho Centennial Anniversary.
And I think I'm going to turn to Councilmember Jared Williams for this one.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor. Actually, if y'all would come up with us, I'll read this proclamation, and then I'll open the floor up. As a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and also a member of Fort Worth's favorite frat, Alpha Beta Tau Lambda, I'm so excited to be able to do this today. So I'm going to read this proclamation, and then I'll allow for the chapter president to have some words. Whereas Sigma Gamma Rho Incorporated, a leading national service organization, was founded at Baylor University in Indianapolis, Indiana on November 12, 1922, by 7 young educators to use their collective strength to enhance the quality of life for women and their families through education, community service, and civil and social action. And whereas the Alpha Pi Sigma Alumni Chapter and the Tau Rho Undergraduate Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho celebrates its centennial anniversary this November 12th after becoming a leading national service organization that addresses socioeconomic issues through programs like SWIM 1922, Project Cradle Care, Women's Wellness Initiative, Operation Big Book Bag, and the annual Youth Symposium. And whereas this sorority is an organization of diverse professional women dedicated to the encouragement and promotion of high school scholastic attainment, community service, and improved quality of life through its chapter affiliates located throughout the United States, Korea, Bermuda, Africa, Belize, the Bahamas, Canada, the Caribbean, Germany, and the United Arab Emirates. And whereas this sorority provides community service through Texas Christian University from the Alpha Pi Sigma Alumni Chapter and the Tau Rho Undergraduate Chapter to the citizens of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, and the citizens of Texas. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth does hereby recognize and celebrate November 12th, 2022 as the Sigma Gamma Rho Centennial Anniversary in the City of Fort Worth. Congratulations. Would you like to give a few words of thanks?
Thank you so much, Councilman Williams. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here and represent Alpha Pi Sigma and all of our members. 100 years ago, we couldn't have imagined we'd be here, standing here today. Our 7 founders set out to do something amazing, and we're just here to make sure that we do the work that they set out for us to do. And we have our advisor to Tau Rho here as well, representing, and all of our members and executive board. And we thank you on behalf of Alpha Pi Sigma and Sigma Gamma Rho.
Thank you, ladies.
So we'll take a picture, and we'll do a formal picture, and then we'll do one with our side.
Look here first. 1, 2, 3. Appreciate it. Right here, y'all.
And then one more. Hold it. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Our next presentation will be a proclamation for the Fort Worth Choral 60th anniversary.
And this is for Mayor Pro Tem Bivens. She's already at the microphone.
Yes,
You snuck down there.
I made Jared hurry up. Did you get enough pictures? Okay. Ladies, come on and join me. I'm going to read this document without any eye contact because I don't want to lose my place, as kids would say, and then we'll turn around. Whereas the Fort Worth Chorale, originally called Scala Cantorum of Texas, was founded in 1962 by Bev Henson as the founding artistic director conductor. The chorale began and continues as an independent, unaffiliated chorale organization with no ties to a university, church, or other organization, which means you guys are just radical. Radical. Whereas, as an independent chorus, the Fort Worth Chorale is a premier choral ensemble that provides performances and guest choirs from around the Metroplex to join in providing music to the community. And whereas the Fort Worth Chorale has continued to support its mission, which stresses excellence in performance, artistry, inspiration, and community, and draws its singers and audiences from across Tarrant County and beyond as a 501c3 organization. And repeating, whereas the Fort Worth Chorale draws its singers and audiences from across Tarrant County and beyond, and is the oldest unaffiliated choral organization in the state of Texas, and celebrated for its contributions to the cultural life of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, and the DFW Metroplex. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth does hereby recognize and celebrate October 14th, 2022, as the 60th anniversary of the Fort Worth Chorale. Now you may applaud these wonderful women. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to whoever gets here first, and then we'll take a few pictures. At least we got you up there.
Good evening. Thank you, Fort Worth City Council, Mayor Parker, for this honor. It is probably, as you know, very hard to keep a nonprofit independent alive for 60 years, especially an arts nonprofit. So we're very proud of this. We're very proud to be a part of Fort Worth. It's where we started and it's where we are, and we support, and we're very happy that you support the arts in Fort Worth because we're part of that. So thank you very much for the honor. Please feel free to come to a concert. They're going to be awesome this year because it's our 60th, and we'd love to see you there. Thank you. Thank you.
Now we take the picture to prove we were here. Can't help but stomach it.
Thank you so much.
You guys take care.
Thank you. Thank you. I should have introduced everybody. Thank you.
Next will be items withdrawn from the consent agenda, which is MMC 220850, followed by items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
There we go. Did we need to remove the ones from the consent for speakers? No, you got
No.
that? All right. The one that we need to continue, and we'll continue this item to October 25th, is MNC 22-0772.
The next will be the consent speakers. Those are the speakers registered on all consent items.
Bob Willoughby's our first speaker.
So some of the new rules went into effect or something, so we only got 3 minutes to speak on everything at one time now, is that correct? All these other things I signed up for are a waste of time. So I gotta tell you about 4 items in 3 minutes. And they said they weren't taking away our right to speak here. Good God. Okay. God, I don't know which one to speak about now. If I'm always, I signed up for 4 things. Am I good to speak on all of those or not? Oh, okay. Okay, very good. What's the first one that just came up? Where are we at?
You registered on 3 items on consent, MNC 220822.
Oh, so I can speak on those now and then get to speak up on them when we get to them, is that correct?
No.
Oh,
You have
no,
3 minutes.
just now only,
2
huh?
minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay, you can bill me just a little bit till I figure out what's going on here. I don't know why y'all want to keep changing stuff. If you'd work on the city instead on this, we'd get something done here in the city. Okay, which one's the most important thing here? Well, the most important thing is the Ken Paxton thing, I guess. I see that's back on the agenda, whatever, about Ken Paxton. And the thing about what I heard last time y'all talking about the key word was you said you believe. You believe this, you believe that. It doesn't say this is that or this is that. So when I hear the word believe, it means that you're not sure. Another thing is, if we had a mayor that I had confidence in and trust in, I wouldn't challenge this. But I don't trust this mayor. I have no confidence in this mayor. The only meeting she holds out is for a private meeting at Dickey's Arena. She doesn't come out and do town halls and talk to us. We don't even count. You can see my video, but I can't say the website anymore. I was able to for 8 years down here, able to see my website until she got here.
Bob, I'm happy to provide a detailed schedule that I provide every week if you'd like to see me around town. But right now, I really just want to focus on these consent agenda items if you have anything else to add.
Okay. Well, anyway, the Ken Paxton thing, you shouldn't be refusing him, whatever. The foreclosed property, I still got some time, right? Okay, it'll ring, I guess. The foreclosed property, District 5 has more foreclosed property than any district. And I've taught this before, and Gina Bibbins ain't gonna do anything about it, but I think the neighbors ought to be known about foreclosed property before it goes on the market. Let the neighbors have a shot at it, instead of the people that just go downtown for a living. Because when they buy that foreclosed property, they're only doing it for profit. But if you put a sign up way ahead of time or send letters out to your nearby neighbors, they may want to buy that foreclosed property or at least give a bid. They don't have time to go down there and sit in front of the courthouse and bid on these things like the professionals do. Okay? Boom, there's one. Okay. You know, it's only about 8 months we get rid of you, and I can't wait. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tara Rice.
Mayor, we have not been able to reach Ms. Rice.
Okay, that's the last of our speakers on consent agenda items, council. Got a motion on the floor? Second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 220850.
We're ready.
Are you okay now? Yeah, okay. Is this the item that you need to recuse on? Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I serve on the board in a volunteer capacity for another agency that received funding through this particular CBDG source. So I'm going to recuse myself from further participation with respect to this item.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Can I entertain a motion, council? A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is announcements by city council members of upcoming and recent events, recognition of citizens, and approval of ceremonial travel.
Carlos, I'll let you go first. Councilmember Flores.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. Melissa, go ahead and start the slides. I can't see if you have already yet. Okay, there we go. Good. September 27th, mentioned this during work session. There were 2 Northwest police officers that went beyond the call of duty, Zachary Briseño and Officer Juan Garcia. For their acts of heroism, they applied a tourniquet to an elderly woman who was a victim of a gunshot wound and saved her life in time for the EMTs to arrive from MedStar and take care of her injuries. So we finally got on their schedule, went there to Northwest Division in the evening and gave them a recognition award. So much appreciation to them and all that our first responders do. Next slide, please. All right, the Northside Community Center had its official grand reopening October 1st on Saturday, and it was an extremely well-attended event. A lot of folks from around the neighborhood that have come to the center for different reasons came and were very suitably impressed by all the changes. The remodeling was very well received. Staff was on hand. Monique Hill, Eric Lopez, his staff members, Sonia Singleton, and many more, to engage in what was a community celebration. So much appreciation to the architects, to our staff, and everyone else who had a hand in making this remodeling project a huge success. Next slide, please. Okay, here we have also on October 1st, Fiesta in Sundance Square. This is in Councilwoman Beck's district. I joined her to support her in celebrating the very first Frida Fest. And there we have some photos right there. And again, a wonderful first time event. Next slide, please. National Night Out. Many of us went out, to our neighborhoods and joined in many of the community celebrations in honor of National Night Out. We got reacquainted with ourselves, especially after COVID, and it was really wonderful to see so many people get together once again to be mindful of the importance of community and having that public trust and support of our, police department, including our first responders. So I was able to get at least 5 or 6 visits in. The night goes fast when you have a lot to go to, but again, wonderful to see those celebrations occur. Next slide, please. Okay, here in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month at City Hall, we had some members from the Fort Worth Herd. In the picture, you can see my district director, Myra, and our assistant city manager, Dana Bertoff, who attended, amongst others, to see some lassoing skills by Jose from the Fort Worth Herd and his father, Chepe, who taught him everything he knows. At least that's what he tells me. But it was wonderful to see the vaquero heritage exhibited, through these events, and again in step with Hispanic Heritage Month. Next slide, please. All right, this is an announcement. We have Court in the Community Warrant Forgiveness event coming to the aforementioned Northside Community Center Saturday, October 22nd from 9 to noon. We did an informational video that is myself and Judge Gonzalez, and we're inviting everyone to come to a very convenient place to take advantage of our municipal court services there nearby at the community center. So I encourage everyone that might have, an outstanding ticket, warrant to come and take care of that right now and in short order. Thank you very much for our municipal court and William Brumley for getting that organized. Next slide, please. Okay, upcoming events here, also for Hispanic Heritage Month, Saturday, October 29th, Dia de los Muertos. Artes de la Rosa has for 20 years had the Dia de los Muertos celebration, the only one in the entire city, and it continues, this time bigger and better. Starting out with the Dia de los Muertos parade, starting at 10 a.m. To 11 p.m. There's still opportunity to sign up. Contact Artes de la Rosa if you're interested in participating. We're going to have a lot of, participation from the community, from individuals, from organizations like the Latino Police Officers Association, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Visita Fort Worth, and many other folks are partnering with us to make this, again, a big celebration, bigger and better than last year. And hoping to see all of you there. So you have an invitation to come out. And then after the parade, there's going to be a celebration of Marine Park with food vendors, artists, face painting, mariachis, ballet folklorico, presentations, and much more. So come on out. Hope to see you there. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Mayor Pro Tem Bivens.
Thank you. Melissa, I'll let you start. I forget which one is first. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm looking at Carlos. I want to give a big welcome to Dr. Valencia Elmer, who is the first female pastor of the historic Carter Metropolitan Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. The church convened a meet and greet with a few community leaders recently, and I was delighted to meet her and glad she made the decision to leave Houston to come to Fort Worth. So welcome to Dr. Elmer. Next. The mayor's party in Fort Worth was a blast, hosted for our mayor by American Airlines. Mayor Parker got a chance to recognize Congresswoman Kay Granger, who started this unique fundraiser. I had a blast as well as a guest at the bell table. It was a lot of fun. Next. My alma mater, Paul Lawrence Dunbar, had the major arterials in Stop 6 feeding the Dunbar Pyramid, loaded with people all up and down the streets. I had a chance to serve as the Grand Marshal of the parade. And most of you know I drive this green machine that people know all across town. Some people call it putrid green. And I had it all cleaned up, ready to roll. But they put me in this 1967 Malibu, and we rolled the streets with the stereo blasting Earth, Wind, and Fire throughout the entire route. I had a ball. And that's all I got that I remember.
Thank you, Gina. Councilmember Firestone.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. On September 28th, I had a NPO breakfast for the NPOs and command staff of the Northwest Division. We had a great breakfast, wonderful attendance, and we had 5 new rookies who were joining us. And what was terrific about that was it was their 3rd day on the job, and all of them were women. So that was a great addition to the force. Also in attendance was Assistant Chief Swearingen, who was very, very proud of her latest recruitment class, as well as Assistant Chief Sparrow. And we were able to welcome the new Northwest Division Commander, Jason Kim. So it was a great, great morning. Next slide, please. And just a couple of shots of Night Out. That's such a good look there. So last Tuesday during National Night Out, we were able to spend some really quality time at Crestwood, the River District Neighborhood Association, and at Arlington Heights. They had a great party going on there. So it was really a terrific night for everyone, great weather, and we really did enjoy a lot of good food, conversation, and music. So a good National Night Out. Thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Beck? Chris, you have stuff too? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Chris, you're first.
All right. We had the opportunity to participate in the Harambe Festival Parade, and I believe there was over 200 choirs mushed together from Fort ISD and Crowley singing as soon as we got back. And we also had the Grand Marshal. It wasn't me, Gina. It was actually our new ACM, William Johnson, was our Grand Marshal. Don't know why, but he looked good in his outfit. If y'all see him on the right on the corner, that's him. Next slide, please. This is the Harambe Festival ceremony, as we had an opportunity to honor Pastor and First Lady Pace, who have been phenomenal in the community, train their kids up and still doing great work in this community. I was a part of the church when I was a young boy, under 5 years old, so it was great being able to honor them during the Harambe Festival ceremony. Next slide. This is the Tay Day Parade. Jared Williams and I and others communities was able to parade to Hillside and have a good time with fellowship and with community leaders. Next slide, please. This is the gala that we participated in on Sunday night with Michael and other city staffs. And so we had a great opportunity as Zion there, had so much fun dancing. Next slide, please. This is National Night Out. Like other council members, we attended over 5. You see PEB with Miss Shirley Bryant, Glen Crest, Rolling Hills, Meadow Creek, and Highland Hills. It was a great time traveling all over the city of Fort Worth. Next slide. Join us for our free barbecue lunch and vehicle recall check on October the 16th, starting at 12 p.m. at the Beth Eden Baptist Church. There are several recalls that's happening with vehicles, and so we'll be there giving out free food and doing a recall check. So if you know anybody living in the area, or if you have this vehicle, you can check with our office so that you can attend this event. Next slide. We will have our town hall State of the District 8 address. We did it last year, had a great attendance. So this year we're doing it again. We're gonna have city staff as well as community leaders, VIP. Fort Worth will be there, Braver Together, Southside Garden, the Community Garden, and others. So come out, hear about what we're doing in District 8, what we have done, and what we're gonna do in the future. And I believe those are all my slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Elizabeth Beck?
All right, first up, we got to participate in the South Hills Elementary Hispanic Heritage event. I really appreciate folks from the library, community services, community engagement, and our solid waste folks for coming out and making that event a really big success. I was really excited because we had so many young kids sign up for library cards at that event, so it was a super huge success. We're building another generation of readers in Fort Worth, thanks to that. Next slide. National Night Out. Featured here is Fairmount. Next slide. All right, so this was a big one on Saturday in conjunction with Hispanic Heritage Month. We held a celebration at the newly renamed Siquio Vasquez Park. You see there with me Justice of the Peace, Sergio De Leon, who presented a proclamation on behalf of the county. School Board Trustee Anael Ubanos was there, as well as Eva Bonilla, our Park Board, my District 9 Park Board representative, and members of the Vasquez family and the greater Worth Heights and Southside community. Latin Express played. It was a really great event, and I was glad to be a part of it, and I'm grateful that my colleagues here supported that renaming. Next slide. We've got some new public art coming to District 9. It's actually already in District 9, and if you've driven down Forest Park Boulevard, you might have seen what looks like giant origami, because there is in fact giant origami on Forest Park Boulevard. But we will be having an official dedication Saturday, October 22nd at 9 a.m., and I certainly hope that you can all join us there. Next slide. All right, so we are moving the History Center. As part of the library realignment, the former Bolt Street Library is now our Fort Worth History Center, and we will be celebrating the grand opening also Saturday, October 22nd at 10 a.m. So come out and watch me race to 2 events real quick. And that's it.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Councilmember Crane?
Yes, Mayor. I have one item asking for a motion to approve ceremonial travel for the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth, on a Embark aircraft carrier. The dates of travel are October 16th, 2022, and returning on October 18th, 2022.
Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be the non-consent speakers, which are all of the speakers registered on non-consent items other than the public hearing and zoning cases.
Our first speaker is Bob Willoughby. He may walk back outside if somebody wants to grab him. No? Okay.
Mayor, I believe that concludes all of the non-consent speakers.
Okay.
The next item is the council proposal, CP 323.
Move for approval.
Got a motion? What's on?
Do we?
So we're gonna vote twice, council. We're gonna vote to waive our rules for the CP for the Harambe Festival, and then vote on the actual CP. So we'll keep the motion as is. Got a motion on the floor from Councilmember Nettles. The second was Gina? Yes. Okay, we can vote to waive our rules to take up this item tonight. Please vote. Motion passes. Now we can move forward with voting on CP 323.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote, council. Motion carries.
Next item is 22-2509, board appointments from District 5.
Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, I'll turn to you.
I request the council's consideration to appoint the following individual effective October 11th, 2022, and with the term expiring October 1st, 2023. That person is Mr. Michael Moore for Place 5 on the Park and Recreation Advisory Board. The respective application is attached with resume, and original copies will be maintained in the city's secretary's office, and that's my motion.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Next item is the Library Advisory Board Annual Report by Chris Holt, Chair of the Library Board.
Good evening.
Manya Shore is going to kick us off.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, my name is Manya Shore, and I'm the Director of the Fort Worth Public Library. Thank you for having us tonight. You appoint 9 members to the Library Advisory Board, and they do 2 things. They help me make decisions about the library by taking recommendations from the public, and they keep you informed about all of my goings-on and all of my decisions that I make. They're required to give a report to council once a year, so that is what we are doing tonight. So I will turn it over to Library Advisory Board Chair Chris Holbert from District 3.
Thank you, Manya. Yes, my name is Chris Holbert. I am the current Library Advisory Board Chairman. I am from District 3, appointed by the Honorable Mr. Crane. We are home to Southwest Regional Library, which is our busiest library, Ridgely Library, which is my home that I've been going since I was quite young, and our smallest and probably mightiest, the Las Vegas Trail Library. First, and also I would like to real quick, one of our newest members, Kathy Rivers, is here, so we are getting her into this as quickly as possible. I do want to thank the council for your continued support of the library system. I know I've gotten to meet numerous of you at different groundbreakings, at openings. I know you all have come to many of our meetings that we have held, and I get to see you all a lot at different, just coming out to read to the children out there, which is such a huge thing to see members of our city council out reading to the children. So it's such a great honor that you all are a part of that. I want you all to know, again, how great our library system is. Manya and her staff are incredible. I've been told, and I think this is pretty, that pretty much through COVID, Fort Worth had one of the few libraries that had their system going, and they could serve people that were in desperate need of nothing else than to be able a chance to read, educate, and there's so many different programs that we keep doing. Obviously, there's one sad moment to the library. We are losing Central, which will go on to a new place. But the great thing about the Fort Worth library system and the way it's set up with our different regional system is that our regional system is so strong. It is such a big part of the community. Again, new ones in Reeve Carey have been great, but because of how strong it is in the community, it shares the vision that Manya and her staff have, that we don't want the library just as a place to get books, but it's something that is for the community, is community-centered, is something they are proud of. So though we're losing Central, we will still have a great system, and we, again, hopefully you all support, as Fort Worth grows, continue support of new libraries that will reach all of our outlying areas, as well as continue to support the ones we have and grow and continue to help with them. And with that, I think we have a video.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We need music next year. Chris will sing. Someone sing. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, hello. There we go. Thanks, Chris. I want to say when I challenged you a little bit, people don't know you're Ridgely Hills Neighborhood Association president for a long period of time. And anybody that can handle being a neighborhood president, I thought would be great for the Library Advisory Board with everything. So I appreciate the time, the dedication, everything you put into it, and the rest of it, not only focusing on District 3, but focusing everywhere in the city about our library resources. I'm a big champion, as you know. And Manya, I just want to say thank you too from that of getting creative, using our resources wisely, and trying to do everything we can to make sure everyone understands how important it is to read and learn and keep growing. So thank you for that too.
Thank you, Michael. Well said. Chris, I'll see you at the baseball field. That's usually where we see each other, watching kids try to play baseball.
Next item is Resolution 22-2506.
I've got a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Carlos, are you able to hit? There you go. He's trying.
It's not taking, Mandy. I keep hitting it, but
Okay.
it doesn't
What's your
register.
vote there, Carlos?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Motion carries.
Next item is public hearing, MMC 22-0810, with report by City Staff Stuart Campbell.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, Councilman. My name is Stuart Campbell. I'm with the Development Services Department. I'm here to talk to you today about the next item on your agenda is AX 21017. This is a project known as a Sewell Tract. It's an owner-initiated annexation, and if annexed, it will be located in future Council District 6. The Sewell Tract is approximately 297.083 acres of land in Tarrant County. This parcel is located at the northeast corner of West Claiborne Road and Longhorn Trail and is south of Claiborne Crowley Road. Additionally, included in the annexation request is 7.561 acres of right-of-way. As a full-purpose annexation, the city will enforce all ordinances and regulations and to provide all services as stated in the municipal service agreement that's along with the annexation request. Services include police, fire, emergency medical services, solid waste services, library services, building inspection and code compliance, maintenance of existing public water and sewer lines, public street maintenance to be taken over by the city upon annexation. Per the Texas Local Government Code, the city is required to conduct this one public hearing on the proposed owner-initiated annexation to receive public comment. The notice for this public hearing has been posted on the city's website since August 10th, 2022. The notice was published in the Star Telegram on September 30th, 2022. The posted notice includes the date of tonight's public hearing, legal description, drafting municipal service agreement, and a map exhibit. The annexation has one companion zoning case that's going to be heard tonight. That will be heard on tonight's agenda. That is ZC 22001. That is scheduled for your consideration immediately following consideration of this annexation request. It is recommended of the City Council tonight to consider the following actions. Conduct a public hearing, the proposed Sewell Tract owner-initiated annexation of approximately 297 acres of land and approximately 7.56 acres of right-of-way in Tarrant County. Close the public hearing after receiving comments. Authorize execution of the municipal service agreement between the City of Fort Worth and the property owner, WTXS LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. And finally, adoption of the ordinance annexing AX 21017 for full purpose annexation. That concludes my comments. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Stuart, Council? If not, thank you, Stuart. Appreciate that. Council, need a motion to close the public hearing and act on the M&C? Yep. I think it's only if there's opposition, which there is none. I'll do the next zoning case separately, if I have that correct. Yeah, but they're only if there's opposition, correct?
Justin, were you only if opposition on this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we'll vote on this item and then we'll move to the zoning case.
Okay, great. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and approve this MNC.
Thank you, Jared.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, Council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC 22-001.
Thank you, Jared. We have 3 speakers. Our first is Sam Knight, followed by Justin Bosworth, then by Kevin Albers. Okay. Justin Bosworth.
Thank you. I have a short presentation emailed to Alondra. She said she received it. All right, perfect. Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Justin Bosworth. I'm with D.R. Horton at 6751 North Freeway here in Fort Worth, Texas. You can flip to the first slide, please. I should be able to. Oh, thank you. I see it now. I was trying to make eye contact here. All right, so tonight we bring forth the proposed zoning as shown here on this slide. This is as presented and approved by the Zoning Commission on September 14th, 2022. Actually, it looks like there's another presentation that was sent. This is the Zoning Commission presentation. Yeah. It's the only one she had. I have it here, but too late, right? Okay, well, I'll just act on it, okay? So if maybe you could flip through the next
Justin.
slide.
Mayor, his presentation is really important because we
It
made
really
a lot
is,
of
yeah.
concessions for the neighbors. Is there
Yeah.
any way we can delay and try to get the PowerPoint up?
That's above my IT pay grade. Y'all tell me.
She confirmed that she received it earlier today.
Ron will work it out here.
She can. Yes, I sent it yesterday, but she confirmed receipt of it after, today with me via email.
Why don't we do
Oh,
this?
Alondra
So
did.
why don't we do this? Why don't you pull up the zoning commission case, and Jared, why don't you, the two of you, walk us through the changes publicly here, if that would be okay?
That's fine.
You'll
I
pull
also
up that
have a
presentation.
hard copy that can be
Perfect.
presented
That's
here.
perfect.
The old-fashioned paper always works well. Thanks, Justin. And as she's passing those out, you can continue. We'll start his time back at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, please. And Jared, of course, may have additional questions.
Thank you.
Two minutes and 30 seconds, please. Go ahead, Justin. You
All
can't.
right, sounds good. So
You're good. We got it.
this slide is actually in the presentation. So we bring forth this zoning. We have the 166 acres of A5. We have 43 acres of A75. We have 29 acres of A10. We have 53 acres of the A21, the half-acre lots. Then we also have 7 acres of the neighborhood commercial. On the projector here, I don't know if that can be pulled up or not, but basically, I wanted to provide the land plan tonight to kind of show how we came to the proposed zoning as just presented to you on the screen. Before the zoning commission approval back in September, we had numerous meetings with the community, including surrounding residents, Crowley ISD, city staff, and council. The concerns we have addressed centered around density and traffic. Through many conversations, we proposed a more transitional zoning. That transitional zoning included half-acre lots on the southern boundary, progressing to more dense lots to the north and east. Also, ahead of the preliminary plat process, we have worked with development services, and we have committed to realign Longhorn Trail through our project. Longhorn Trail will connect at the southwest corner at the CTE Center and go to the west through proposed Hewlin. This realignment will not only alleviate traffic concerns, but will also promote a safer path to travel for this area. We will also construct our perimeter roadways on the west, north, and then we also have Hewlin Street, which is all on the master thoroughfare plan that will provide mobility for the area. I had a screening discussion. Basically, the screening that we're doing is basically thin wall, basically to work with the community to really show that, to keep that quality appearance of our subdivision for the life of the project. We also are promoting walkability with a trail system and 3 proposed parks. So just to wrap up, basically in conclusion, we at D.R. Horton, we're excited to bring another D.R. Horton community to the city of Fort Worth. And I want to personally thank not only the surrounding residents, city staff, and Councilmember Williams for the countless hours they worked with me on this project or the zoning case. So I greatly appreciate your time and consideration, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Justin. Questions,
Sorry
Dr.
about the
Williams?
presentation.
All good. Fine. Thank you.
No worries. I have just a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Justin, just to clarify on the improvements, just to put on the record and for our
Yes.
residents who are watching.
Yes.
Can you describe the Longhorn Trail improvements, particularly the intersection of Hewlin and Longhorn?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I'd kind of glazed over it just because of my
Time,
lack
yeah.
of here.
I'm giving you more time here.
Longhorn Trail, the existing Longhorn Trail is on the southern boundary of our project. It goes east and west along the southern boundary. Through speaking with Development Services, Councilmember Williams, and then also quite a few of the community residents, we felt that there was a desire to realign Longhorn. So what we've done at the southwest corner of the CTE Center, basically on the right-hand side of our screen, we're going to realign that and intersect with Hewlin. At the intersection of Hewlin, we're actually going to flare that road out and make it an 80-foot wide right-of-way that will allow for left turn lanes and basically a through, or a left, a through, and a right turn lane to promote turning movements onto Hewlin in the north and south direction. We will also continue Longhorn Trail to the west, intersecting the existing West Cleburne-Crowley Road that is on the master thoroughfare plan on the west.
Awesome.
Is that
thank
answer?
you. Yes, that answers. And then you're making improvements to Hewlin, West Crowley, Cleburne, and also doing your share of the Summer Creek road that's coming north-south.
Yes, sir. So the road on the west, which is West Cleburne / Summer Creek, the North Street, which is Cleburne Road as well, and then Hewlin through our subdivision. Yes, sir.
Also, one last question that residents had a concern with. There's going to be a three-way stop once we get later down the road at Hewlin and Old Longhorn Trail, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Those are all of my questions.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Any other questions for Justin? Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Our next speaker is Kevin Albers.
Mayor Parker, city council members, city staff, thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your leadership for this city. My name is Kevin Albers, and I live with my wife, Elisa, and we live at 2701 Longhorn Trail, which is directly across the street from this proposed development. We certainly encourage development, and we realize development is necessary. However, we just don't feel that this development is in character with our existing neighborhood. We have a neighborhood of 2.5 acre lots. I don't set an alarm clock in the morning. My neighbor's rooster wakes me up. And when I go out on my back porch, if the wind's blowing from the west, I smell the manure from the cows. And then we walk to our back fence and we feed our neighbor's horses. This is not typical in a neighborhood as what you see proposed here. I want to point out a couple of statements that are included in the 2022 comprehensive plan. In the chapter 4 for land use, it specifically says to encourage new development in character with the existing neighborhood scale, architecture, and platting pattern, and also promote measures to ensure that all types of residential developments are compatible in scale to abutting residential developments. A dramatic difference in lot size, 2.5 acres down to 5,000 square foot. And units per acre should be discouraged for new development immediately adjacent to existing development or platted and zoned property. So we do appreciate the concessions that D.R. Horton has made. We feel that this is an improvement. However, if you look at this map, there's still 3/4 of these lots are 5,000 square foot lots. Those lots are 21 times smaller than our existing lots. And even the average lot size now is just under 7,000 square foot. That's still 16 times smaller than our existing lots. And so I just trust that the city council takes this into consideration to try to enforce, what you as city council adopted in the comprehensive plan, that, you want to have neighborhoods that are compatible with each other. And, we'd like to see half-acre and 1-acre lots be developed within this area. We also know that there are additional consideration or additional issues with potential traffic and flooding. I know my neighbor 2 houses over, his house has already been flooded, and with additional streets, additional rooftops, that's just going to push more water off of that land and onto our land. My neighbor's, the ditch that goes through his yard and through my backyard ends up in Lake Arlington. And
Thank you,
that amount of
Kevin.
water just can't be.
Thank you, Kevin. Jared, do you have any questions for Kevin?
No, thank you, Kevin, for coming and speaking tonight. Many of the concerns that you shared today were concerns that I shared as well, which is how we arrived at this plan. For my colleagues, the original plan looked nothing like this, and I think Kevin would agree. I mean, it was really, really dense, and to your point, based on our comprehensive plan, it was definitely inconsistent with the uses around it. I think this is a really good compromise for the neighbors and many of the residents we engaged throughout the process. Justin, at his neighborhood meeting, had over 50 residents, many of Kevin's neighbors, at this particular meeting, and many of the concerns that Kevin expressed were also expressed in that meeting. And so I want to commend both our neighbors and also Justin and the team for having the hard conversations. It wasn't short meetings and it wasn't easy conversations, but I think many of the points that both Kevin and Justin brought up are a function of growth at the fringes of the city, and how do we do that in a way that really is meaningful and intentional, and that works for all involved. And I think that this project had a lot of great aspects to it, including transitioning the A5 to mirror the A5 that's just north of West Crowley-Cleveland Road, as well as a neighbor commercial mirroring that with what's north of West Crowley-Cleveland Road. I appreciate the transitional zoning from the half-acre down to 875, 810, et cetera. And they also, the development team worked to do that where it was mirroring half-acre lots. And so I think we've gotten to a good compromise. We also talked to a lot of neighborhood leaders, and while there wasn't 100% what they wanted, many of them wanted this entire lot to be developed into half or acre and plus lots. I don't believe that it was necessarily possible in the near future with that type of development. So I think this is a win-win. It brings some much-needed transportation improvement to Old County roads and builds some capacity for the type of development they're bringing. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve this.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? You can vote.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-091.
We have one speaker on this item, Elizabeth, but I think it's only if there's opposition. Lindsay Purpura. Lindsay, where are you? There you are. Hi there. Elizabeth may want you to come down. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Nope, you can stay there. Yep, no work for you tonight. I do appreciate your patience and working with the neighborhood and working with this office to make sure we were getting it right. And so thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote, council. Oh, hit Jared, abstain, or yeah, thank you. Abstain. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-102.
Councilmember Nettles, we have a few speakers on this item. I'm going to start with Luke Franz. Luke is followed by Kyle Vrilla.
If you would, Mayor, Suzanne Kedron, 777 Main Street. Luke Franz, Mr. Franz is on my team.
That's okay. Go ahead,
Filling in for
please.
him. We also have a presentation as well, if you could load that. There we go, next slide. All righty, thank you very much. This project is on the fringe. It's near the city of Everman and also close to Forest Hills. There we go, that's a picture of the property location. We're really excited about this project. In 2020, you approved phase 1 of the project. This is phase 2, a fully amenitized home community. You will see there's several aspects that have a lot of great amenities, such as walking trails, basketball courts, splash parks, pools, an indoor pavilion. There's also a community area that has Wi-Fi and study rooms for the community guests. We're really excited about this project. We had a full staff support on the project as well as unanimous at the Zoning Commission. And we're hoping that you too support that. We have several speakers here tonight. We've asked them not to speak, but we wanted to just recognize them. They're in the audience. If you could please raise your hand. Thank you for coming tonight. We just wanted to make sure they were recognized because they took their time to be here tonight. Since the last time that we met, we had 30 days to work with the community. Councilman Nettles convened a meeting, and in that meeting was representatives from the staff, as well as the city of Everman and the city of Forest Hills, and Commissioner Brooks as well. We're really excited about that meeting. What resulted in that meeting was an agreement between my client and the city of Everman to continue to work together as a process as the community gets built. And so we look forward to that continued collaboration. I'd like to turn it over to Kyle Verla on our team, who has a couple more comments. And if it's necessary, I would be here for any rebuttal that may or may not be necessary.
Thank you. Hi, Kyle, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kyle Verla. I'm with First Step Homes. We're at 940 East FM 544 in Wiley, Texas. So just to keep going on this project, this is a phase 2 of a project we zoned last year. The current project is in the study phase. Right now, we've got our traffic study approved, drainage study in the works, and water and sewer studies are in the works as well. So with the housing boom, I guess you can call it, the people moving here. Even though phase 1 is not under construction yet, we see the demand for the need for housing, and justifies our phase 2 project that we're currently working on. I want to go through a few photos of another property we've done in Irving, Texas. These are actual photos, these aren't renderings, and this is what we will be doing at Catamount phase 1 and 2. So this is just a picture of our amenity center. Got a few different angles of it. We try to make the amenity center just super nice so the residents can really enjoy it. We provide screen walls around the development, and that was actually one of the items we discussed with the city of Everman, was to add a screen wall along the property on the Everman side with some trees as well. So above and beyond the code and just working with the community, it was great. I'm really glad we got to meet with Everman as we did. Thank you, Councilman Nettles, for setting that up. We provide secure fencing, gated communities. You have a toll tag on your car, toll tag type thing. So residents come in and out easy. Guests can use the call box, call the phone. It's really similar to a multifamily development, if you will. This is inside of the amenity center. It's high-end quality. There's a full kitchen that's not pictured here. You can rent this out for parties or events, or anything you'd like. You can gather with neighbors on the weekends or during the day. It's just a great gathering place for the community. There's a full gym with super nice equipment. The gym opens up outdoor to this outdoor workout area where there's additional equipment that you can bring in and out. We plan to have classes here. This basically takes the place of a gym membership. So you've been involved in this community, living here, you get access to all these amenities. We have playgrounds. We have playgrounds for different age groups as well. I have little kids, a 4 and a 6-year-old, and when they were smaller, you see sometimes there's some 8-year-old kids running over the 2-year-old kids. So we try to have playgrounds that are age appropriate, and pools, pavilions, picnic tables, basketball courts, study room inside the amenity center for kids that might not have access to computers or printers for school. They can come get their homework done. So our homes, our developments are not a move in and move out. We buy the homes as the developer, and we set them. We build stone retaining walls around some of the homes, such as you see here. Other ones are set in the ground, so your porch is at grade. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Chris, any questions for Kyle? We'll keep rolling. Thank you, Kyle. Our next speaker is Mary Carroll, followed by Doreen Seals.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members. I'm Mary Carroll. I live in Everman. This project concerns me because I live on Enon and it floods very severely. In 2018, we lost everything that was outdoors, all our driveways, all of our fences, swimming pool, an 18-foot swimming pool was flattened by the floodwaters. It was over 48 inches deep. This creek that runs through there, that runs through the property that this project is proposed on, it runs right through there. And if you look at the FEMA flood hazard area map that's dated 10/4 of 2022, it shows that it runs right through the middle. It's in a floodway and it's in a high-risk flood area. Also, we're out in the country. We have 2 country roads that come into this area around this project. It's Enon that goes east and west through the city of Everman, and Anglin that's an access to I-20. The Chambers Creek that crosses through this property crosses both of these. When it floods, those roads are impassable. The people in that area are not able to get out of their homes because the roads are impassable until the water recedes. We've experienced flooding, very severe flooding, 3 years in the time that we've been there. We've been there over 22 years. We've received severe flooding. And then there has been less times when it is less. But those roads are also heavily traveled by school buses, big 18-wheeler trucks, construction trucks, bicycles, motorcycles, and pedestrians. And unless there's some road work done, that could be very dangerous and cause quite a bit of accidents. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Our next speaker is Doreen Seals, followed by Becky Kate. Is Doreen here? Okay, thank you. Becky Kate, followed by Gary Finley.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Becky Kate, and my husband and I own a piece of property located at 8317 Anglin in Fort Worth. We've owned this property since 2008, and it's a second home for us as we have another home located in Colleyville. We love the country feel and the quiet area around us, and that's what attracted us to this piece of property. All of our neighbors along Anglin has spent close to 40 years in that area. We embraced the history, and we felt that it was one of the best kept secrets of Fort Worth. We have been contacted towards the end of August about this rezoning. We are concerned about the roads, as Mary just stated. The Enon and the Anglin Road will not be able to handle this kind of traffic. We also have a situation with the flooding. While our property itself has never flooded, our pasture has. All of the properties in front of us along the Anglin Circle and along Enon are completely underwater. They project this as affordable housing, but the people never actually own the property. So I challenge that as if it is a good fit for that community. That area has a lot of property right now for low-income people. I think we need to address those areas and help those before we start bringing in more. I appreciate your time tonight, and we feel so strongly about this that my husband and I have decided that we will sell our property if this is passed. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Our next speaker is Gary Finley, followed by Audrey Morris.
Hello, thank you all very much for letting me speak here. My name's Gary Finley. I live on Anglin Circle. I am Councilman Nettles is our councilman in District 8. And I'd first like to commend the First Step organization for the facade that they have put out in front of y'all. Are my slides available? The access roads, should have some pictures on the computer. What about the pictures of the roads? Scroll, anyway, next slide. Oh yeah, that's good, thank you. This is the road here. Okay, 2 cars can barely pass on this road. The thought of building a trailer park to service 200 plus trailers is incomprehensible. Look at this road. 2 cars cannot pass on this road. Now, and you're gonna move how many families in here into a trailer park? It's, I think we need to look at it. Again, I commend them on the facade. All right, a few other issues. There's an active gas well on the property, very active, produces quite a bit of gas. In the evenings, you can hear them release the pressure. It sounds like a tornado. Okay, the HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing, okay, regulates these things and will not allow development 300 feet, that's 100 yards, from an active or inactive gas well. Okay, and these points are just not even considered at this point. Okay. And the flooding has been brought up constantly. My daughter, who's next, has a video of what the flooding looks like. And if you've watched the news lately, you can see a lot of examples of where flooding has destroyed mobile homes. People in the trailers, their possessions, drowning, total destruction. All right, and I thank you, but y'all need to think through this. There's a reason that this property has sat undeveloped for a century, okay? And that's because of the access, the flooding, and all the potential hazards involved in developing it. You know, I think y'all should give some careful consideration of what's gonna happen here. All right? I appreciate it. And my lovely daughter will be next.
Thank you, Mr. Finley.
All right, thank
Our
you.
next speaker is Audrey Morris, followed by Mary Finley. I should say the lovely Audrey Morris, right?
Very passionate.
Good.
Hello, Mayor and council members. Nice to see y'all again. I spoke last month on my opposition to this zoning change, and I'll keep this quick and just reiterate a couple things. I wanted to talk about the flooding and then the what we're calling affordable housing for this project. I believe that the impact of owning or not owning the land in this case impacts the actual affordability of these homes. Since the purchaser of these homes do not actually own the land, there needs to be more data if these homes will actually benefit the purchaser. For the purpose of keeping it consistent with the material we have provided previously, the developer has advised that the lot rent will be between $500 and $700 monthly. So if we have a purchaser that's buying one of these homes for $100K on a 15-year mortgage, and we'll use 5% as the interest rate, over the course of 3 years, they will pay $21,000 in rent for the land, over $13K in interest, and yes, they will have $15K towards their principal. But again, since this purchaser does not actually own the land, I don't see how this can be advantageous for the future home owners. Lastly, I'm going to reiterate on the flooding. This video that is about to play is, again, the adjacent property to this land that's proposed development zoning change there, and this creek passes through that property, the zoning change property, and all the way through Everman. And this was in August of this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Our next speaker is Mary Finley, followed by Sue Jackson.
Mayor Parker and council members, Chris Nettles, District 8, that is my home that you see that was completely flooded on August 22nd from heavy torrential rains. So I represent 4501 and 4503 Anglin Circle, and the proposed zoning change is right next to us. We have 20 acres. My parents purchased this property in 1978. We built our home on this property in 1991. As you've seen, parts of this property and the proposed development, they're in the 100-year floodplain. What in the world are we thinking? Putting manufactured housing in a floodplain. If you've lived there as long as I've lived there and my parents lived there, it is a raging river when it storms and floods, and it's happened many times in all the years that I have lived on this property. I will tell you, when it floods, I cannot get in or out of our home. I'm stuck for many hours at a time. My concern is there's inherent danger. There's risks to flooding, flash flooding. People don't think. They cross rivers, they cross roads, they drown. These are going to be children and families living in this housing. I would hate to see that happen in or near my property. I have to be opposed to this because of the danger that's associated with building in a floodplain. So literally, we have no infrastructure. You saw the roads. That's typical. There is no city water where we live. We have 2 wells on our property. 40 years, 2 wells. The Hannah Ranch sewer expansion project was proposed to expand that sewer. Well, that hasn't happened. You have a lot to do before you consider developing this property, frankly, okay? So when there's traffic on Anglin Drive, Forest Hill Drive, Anglin Circle becomes a racetrack, and these drivers race through Anglin Circle to get to their destination as an alternative route, okay? In fact, many years ago, my late mother was hit head-on on that circle. Her car was totaled, and she was injured, okay? I would hate to have that happen in my front road. Frankly, manufactured homes, they don't have longevity. My parents' home was built in 1929 on Anglin Circle. That home is still there, beautiful, strong, and oh so much charm, okay? Reconsider this.
Thank you, Mary.
Single family homes.
Our next speaker is Sue Jackson Weston, followed by Carolyn Renfro.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm Sue Weston, and I own Weston Gardens, and it's on Anglin Drive. Been out there 38 years. This is my son, Jackson. He runs most of the garden center, and I run the weddings and stuff in the garden center, in the demonstration gardens, which are directly across the street, and which is where I've lived for 35 years. Everything the Finley said is correct. They're my next neighbor. We have 10 acres there, and they have the 20. Everything they said is correct, except it's just gotten worse and worse. And I worry about people just trying to cross the street to visit the gardens. But anyway, everything they say is correct, but I also wanted to let y'all know, because I figured some people may not know, that in 2007, this city council awarded the gardens a historic designation. The gardens have been around, they started development in the 20s, 30s, and 40s by Leon and Peggy Bandy. Mrs. C.W. Whitehead was the landscape architect. She was the first woman landscape architect in the state of Texas. And she also designed all the landscaping at UT in Austin and the San Jacinto Monument. And so it has a lot of history. And we've worked for years to try to keep the gardens going, to do the upkeep. And to keep, a lot of the rock work was done in the 30s and during the Depression, and they paid everybody that came out there and worked 50 cents a day. So none of that can be replaced today. And so a lot of the development that was done for entertaining, because it was all done before there was air conditioning, so everybody entertained outside. And Garden Center magazine several years ago did a garden study that showed that 2/3 of all the gardens developed during that time period in the United States are gone, either through neglect or through development. I grew up in Texas Panhandle, and I come from some tough people, and so we worked really hard to try to keep that area going and to keep the gardens going, to show people nature and how to enjoy nature and work with nature. And we also are the first garden center in North Texas to carry the native and the low water plants, which have become more and more important. My late husband did a lot of work on figuring out what plants to bring to North Texas. Jackson?
I'll just add two on the flooding. Back in 2018, we grow a lot of our inventory at the back of the property, which is almost adjacent to this proposed project. Half of our plants were swept away and that flood went down the creek. So that water gets really high, it rages through there, it's flash flooding. Also, my kids go to this property all the time, and I'm worried about the traffic too with children crossing.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Renfro.
Good evening, Councilman. Nice to see you again. I'm here to oppose the mobile homes. I did my due diligence. I drove by two of the manufactured homes. They recommended that these lots would have places for kids to play. The lots are entirely too small for kids to play. I mean, you can walk from here, I wouldn't even say that far. And that is what they're proposing as yards. I really oppose it. If this passes, you really need to consider the plat sizes, because it's just not safe. And plus, if I lived there, I wouldn't let my kid go down to the park to play without, I mean, they're proposing this as a nice, safe area. I went and looked, and the kids were playing in the streets, and I just think it's just too small. It needs to, I just oppose it. The flooding, it's taken our country life away. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. That's the last of our speakers. Councilmember Nettles, I may ask Dana Bergdorf, if that's the correct staff member, to ask questions specifically around flooding and some of the transportation concerns. And Chris may have plenty to fill in the gaps here, so feel free to jump in as well, Chris.
Sure. Thank you, Dana Bergdorf, Assistant City Manager. I believe the zoning packet contains a map that shows the floodplain in this area. In this particular tract is bisected by floodplain that runs through the middle of it. The flooding issues would be addressed during the platting stage. So at that point, they'd be required to provide a stormwater study to the Development Services Department to show how they can address existing flooding that may be on the property, as well as make sure that they're not creating any off-site or downstream impacts to neighbors, to make sure that the condition doesn't become any worse, if you will, for anyone. And then in addition to that, then they would be able to show the drainage easements and drainage infrastructure during the infrastructure plan review process as part of that platting or land development stage, if you will.
Thank you, Dana. I know that the city of Everman had originally opposed this case. They've withdrawn that opposition. Was that mainly because of the conversations you've had directly with the city related to flooding in streets?
I'll defer to Councilmember Nettles on that.
Yes, Mayor. So what I did is brought all the stakers to the table. So we had Everman City Manager, we had Commissioner Brooks' office and representative, and then we had the developer and their representation. And so we came up to an agreement where COG and Tarrant County and Everman is already doing a flood study for the entire area. And part of the agreement is what comes back with the study is that they're going to participate in making sure those roads are fixed and there's not a downstream of the water flooding that Dana just talked about. And so they withdrew their concerns because they signed a development agreement that I have here today.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Because one of the things we wanted to make sure is just wasn't talk. That they put it in writing. They signed it with the developer and the city of Everman.
Thank you. Anything else you want to add, Chris? I didn't mean to cut you off earlier asking Dana questions.
Well, I do want to, if we have a representative, I think if you want to come back up, because this council is very concerned with some of the drainage. And so can you give us an understanding of what you guys have agreed to do in moving forward? And again, this is development 2. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have signed an agreement with the city of Everman, signed off by their council and signed by the mayor. We're going to participate in a regional flood study, and also part of that, we will have a contact person on our team that will help work with the city of Everman as that study progresses.
Okay, and then you guys also added the flood wall or the buffer wall?
Yes, sir. It was a screening wall, a minimum 6 feet high, and it also includes landscaping improvements as well.
Okay, and if the study comes back that there's issues on the property, or if there needs to be a open space area to mitigate, the flooding, you guys are going to replat or rezone or redo your map. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That'll all be governed at the permit phase, as you heard Ms. Bergdorf suggest. Yes, we will be cooperating on the flood study.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else have any questions for her.
One more question for Dana. Sorry, you sat back down. And I'm asking these for those in the audience. This project in particular is very important, but there's flooding areas across the entire city that I'm concerned about. And I just want to make sure that we're working with the right partners. Sounds like we are, thanks to Chris's collaboration with Tarrant County, North Central Texas Council of Governments, and the city of Fort Worth and Everman. Do you feel good about where we are? We're going to work on some of these things during the permitting phase, and of course, do this flood study to understand what resources are needed.
Yeah, yes, I do. And I think these would be the similar concerns, whether it was manufactured housing or single family or any other residential development, that we would need to address these issues. And it's not unique to this part of the city.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the last of my questions. And those that came today, I think it's important for you to know Chris has done an excellent job and his staff. My team will work through Chris's office. I'm really interested in how you solve some of these major flooding concerns that have come up in the fastest growing city in the country. We have to lean on expertise. I am pleased to know that North Central Texas Council of Governments is included. They've been excellent partners. You have council members on this dais, 3 of them that serve on the RTC, to know where those resources are going. So we're all going to work together. So let's stay in touch, even though the permitting phase is still got lots of steps to go. I know that Chris's office will stay in touch with those of you that came tonight, because you've made some very convincing cases, at least for me, to see the pictures and videos of what you've gone through in that area. So I really do appreciate you coming tonight. Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. When I heard 2018 mentioned, that was the year that the rains really had a severe impact on my district and District 5, and we lost 4 lives. I'll never forget it. So I know how impactful that was. What I will tell you is, when you have the North Central Texas Council of Governments working with you, there is no better expertise. And so I can assure you, the money that they get from DC to planning and taking care of transportation matters, flood matters, the homework has been done here. And yeah, I will be voting in support of this motion. But I just hope that for those of you who are not familiar with the COG, look it up, nctcog.org. That's where all of the expertise funnels to this 14 to 16 county region. You could have no better allies.
Thank you. I just want to first thank Carroll, because she really did go over and beyond her efforts to look at other manufactured homes that they are posing here. And I want to even challenge you guys on the manufactured homes to really do great work in this area. It was important to me that we got to the bottom of this, and that we heard the concerns of the community in Everman. When I got in city council, Everman called me and said, hey, we want a partnership. We want to be good neighbors, and we want you to be good neighbors. And I gave them my commitment. And so I went over and beyond. I talked to Craig Spencer several times to make sure that we can get to a consensus. I met with the developers, and we in the meeting, I said, listen, we will not move forward unless we come to some type of agreement. This usually does not happen. Developers do not sign an agreement to do extra work outside of developing their property. This is not normal. And so to get them to sign a development agreement, we went over and beyond our effort. And so I tell you, Everman, those in Everman residents, with COG being a part of this and Tarrant County being a part of this, those roads will be fixed. They might not be fixed in the fastest time we want them, but we're going to be fixing those roads. And so with that, I'm going to motion to approve this zoning case for approval.
Got a motion and a second. Council, any other discussion? Please vote.
We already did that.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-125.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Beck? Got a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Please vote. Yep, Leonard. Jerry, you got to vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-045.
No speakers on this item. Alan?
So motion to approve is recommended.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Thank you both.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-066.
A few speakers on this item. Councilmember Bivens. Our first is Ray Ojeski. Ray is followed by Dallas Rice.
Unless are you sure? I sent you one. Okay.
There we go.
Gotcha. There we go. Thank you. Mayor and Council, good evening. Ray Ojeski on behalf of the Leon Capital Group. This is a depiction of where the property is for this case tonight. It straddles both sides of Trinity Boulevard in District 8.
No, it's not. It's 5.
District 8. I talked to Chris earlier today. I'm sorry, Gina.
You startled him from the beginning, Gina.
It's over. It's over. We're
Oh,
done.
boy, can I start over, Gina? Can I start? This is the current zoning on the property right now. There's K heavy industrial on the north side of the property, ag on the rest of it. The subject property is going to be rezoned, if you approve the case tonight, to a planned development for neighborhood commercial uses with specific light industrial uses that I will talk about here in just a second. But the purple just kind of gives you an idea of the type of industrial uses that are currently going on around the property right now that did impact the type of uses that were discussed that would be appropriate for light industrial here. So the list of light industrial uses was meticulously negotiated with representatives of the Cathedral of Faith Church, a major stakeholder in District 5 in the Mosher Valley area. And that list obviously is what garnered the support of the Cathedral of Faith Church when the negotiations were completed. They did provide a support letter to the zoning commission, and then we've subsequently received a second letter of support that was addressed to the city council from the Cathedral of Faith. Now, since the zoning commission, there was concern that there was not adequate outreach done within other areas of the community. So Leon Capital Group did go out, and other letters of support were received, a total of 13 letters in all, in addition to the Cathedral of Faith Church. There were some organizations listed on the staff report. Outreach was sent to them, but we did not receive any feedback formally from any of those stakeholders. At this point in time, we're not aware of any opposition that has been raised to this case. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation, and we ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
Our next speaker is Dallas Rice.
I want to say good evening to Mayor Parker, Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, and this entire council. I want to say God bless you on this evening. I'm in here with Elder Jared Hornsby. We're standing in support of our pastor, the Bishop James E. Hornsby, who's the pastor of the Cathedral of Faith Church. He had a prior engagement as our biannual leadership conference, and he's the bishop of the Texas Northeast First Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction, and he's responsible for over 100+ churches. That meeting is actually going on as we speak. But we wanted to support this project, but one thing when we spoke with the Leon Capital Group, we want to make sure that we're not setting a precedence for light industrial for this area. This area has been neglected for years. Our pastor has been there since the 70s. When he came there, it was a dilapidated church. You could see under the porch, hardly no indoor facilities. And since then, he's built the first church, and I think he completed that in about 79. And since then, we've built a 33,000 square foot facility that we've invested well over $7 million. $5.5 million was cash, and we're approaching $10 million, now. Very well received facility. Our pastor, Bishop Hornsby, worked with the city of Fort Worth, worked with the city of Euless in helping get some things through. And adjacent to our property is a new development going in right now of starting at $500,000 to $700,000 single-family homes. So we don't want to set a precedence. We want to continue to fight for residents in this area. God bless this council, and God bless Councilwoman Bivens. She's really worked hard in this area. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Our next speaker is Michael Malik.
I didn't see Michael.
Good evening, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Michael Malik. My business is at 3715 Camp Bowie Boulevard in Fort Worth, Texas. I've been, a number of you folks in here know we've been in business 65 years, older than I am. My business is 38 years. I want you to know that Leon Capital Fernando De Leon started, his first endeavor was Sierra Vista. He was instrumental in working with Fernando Costa and I, and the commitments made here tonight will be kept. Mayor Pro Tem, our family has a stakeholder in this project and other projects with Leon, and just wanted you to know that there is some local sponsorship here on this project. And see if any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions, Gina?
No, not of Michael.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Our last speaker is Jared Hornsby, but I think I understand. Okay,
He's
very well.
not.
Yeah, that's right. That's the last of our speakers, Councilmember Bivens.
I want to thank the speakers who came tonight. And just so you know, there was one call of opposition today, but that call, just so you know, was about truck traffic on Trinity. when we explained to the caller that Trinity is a truck route, officially designated as such, then that opposition just kind of faded away. I think there was so much discussion during the zoning commission meeting that things got very confusing. But this is a good project. And I like the idea that Leon Capital is going to work with the community on Mosier Valley Park. Now, I don't know if anybody from Leon Capital is here tonight. Good. What I want to, if you can come to the microphone, please, both of you. And tell me your names. I know you're Ray because I watched that zoning meeting. So you're Ray.
Brad Sechrist.
Okay, now you guys are building so much in the area, I couldn't keep up, and I think that's what happened with the zoning commission. But I learned today of your commitment to work with the community and the Parks Department on Mosier Valley Park. Is that true?
That's correct. I talked with Joel McEhaney.
Joel, okay.
Yes, and the conversation centered around, he kind of filled me in on where the project stands. He said there was, I think, a $750,000 commitment right now. And he anticipated construction to start in 12 to 18 months. So I told him, he kind of asked what we wanted to do, and I said, well, send me pricing on the various things. There, I think trails, there's
yes.
Like gazebos and stuff like that. And I said, we want to do something material. So he's like, this is great. He promised to get me more pricing. And so, yes, we're committed to do that. We want to do something significant and material there. And I just want to work with them on their timing. So whenever that makes the most sense for the Parks Department, we're happy to do that.
Well, I wanted to get you on record for that because this is a community that did not have running water until the mid-'60s. This is a community where the first freed slaves settled in the state of Texas, and it is very important to me. The idea that we're seeing homes built of that price value, that's positive, but it's also scary. But for those of you who don't know the Mosier Valley area, this is really right next to Viridian. And we did get some people from Viridian calling, but they live in Arlington, and I just don't care. They're using our roads to take trash around without a whole bunch of regard, but I don't want to get into a fight with Arlington. We're dealing with Dallas all the time. But we're going to call a meeting on Mosier Valley Park between now and maybe Thanksgiving, ideally mid-November, but if it's Thanksgiving, we can have that to be some type of musical festival. Do I have your word that you will work with me to be at that meeting?
Yes, ma'am, of course. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for bringing this opportunity to the area. And with that, I move for approval.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Please vote, council. Motion carries. Air high five.
Next item is ZC-22-098.
We have one speaker on this item, Wes Hoblet.
I think Wes is only if opposition, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Motion and a second, please vote.
I read your mind, Wes.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-124.
One item on this, Travis Clegg, only if there's opposition. Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote, council. Motion passes.
Next item is ZC-22-134.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Nettles, Ray Ojeski. Okay, Councilmember Nettles.
Okay, I did work with met with the developers and our attorneys, and so I'm going to motion to approve ZC 22134 as amended for a PD for all uses in E neighborhood commercials, excluding the following uses: liquor or package store or gasoline sales. That's what the community requested that we do, and so we're going to approve it with that amendment.
Got a motion and a second, council, please vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, can we confirm on Councilmember Nettles' motion that the site plan is waived?
Yes, the site plan is waived. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Next item is ZC-22-136.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Oh, before we do that, let me check one thing.
Okay.
I was looking at Carlos's item, and this is 136.
This is 136.
137?
136.
Let me see. Oh, no, sorry. Move for denial. Thank you.
Can we just start over? There we go. So ZC 22-136, this is in your district, District 5, correct? You got that? Okay.
Yes.
So we've got a motion to, no? I'm afraid to hit the log out button because I think the whole thing shuts down. Okay,
Let's just take a,
perfect. Got a motion to deny by
Voice
Councilmember
vote.
Bivens and a second, I think, by Councilmember Crane. Let's vote on the motion to deny, please. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, motion to deny passes.
Thank you.
Very well.
So busy looking at Carlos's.
You're good. We can move on to ZC 137, Jeanette.
yes, ZC-22-137.
Motion and a second, please vote. I don't have a start vote yet. There it goes. It won't let me vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? There it goes. I think all, are you voting manually? Also, okay. Okay. Motion carries. There we go.
Next item is ZC-22-138.
This is Councilmember Flores's item. Gina.
I will be moving for approval with language strategically written for me by Councilmember Flores.
Like only he can. Go ahead.
Okay. He says it seems like zoning is going long, so he wants me to submit a motion to approve ZC 22-138, which I did, with a conditional use permit for truck and trailer parking and community gardens. The zoning commission's recommendation is something he can agree with. It's compatible, and this is for a 3-year time frame, which he supports. Steve Hudgens, who is president of DHJNA, and his group emailed their support for the CUP for truck and trailer parking at 3700 North Grove. And with those comments from my peer, I once again state, move forth to approve.
Got a motion, council? Can I get a second? Thank you. Motion and a second, please vote.
Please tell him I did that just like he told me.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-139.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-140.
Motion and a second, please vote. You want to vote for her, Melissa? Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-141.
Councilmember Beck, we have one speaker only if there's opposition.
I'm going to move to approve, but I also just want to say I'm really excited about this particular change. For those of you that don't know, this is the Samuels area, and we've had a lot of really great residential development, but maybe not the commercial that we need around there to support that. And they're taking an old historic home and making it a wine and beer garden. So I'll invite all of you to come join me when it's open.
Perfect.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-142.
No speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-143.
We have a few speakers on this item. Councilmember Beck's district, our first speaker is Shelley Davis, followed by Daryl Ovenshine.
We were not able to reach Ms. Davis.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Come on down. Shelley is followed by Daryl Ovenshine and then Michael Thomas.
Good evening, Council. My name is Shelley Davis, and I'm here on behalf of Southside City Church as it relates to the tiny home village. I'm sorry, I said zoning request, but that's not it. I am a former resident of True Faith Community. I live in the community for 6 years. I am a former resident. I'm sorry, let me start over. I am a former resident of True Faith Community. I lived in the community for 6 years. Living in the community taught me so much about discipline, structure, time management, spiritual growth, budgeting, and learning to build healthy relationships. Just to name a few. After living in addiction from when I was a teenager to 39, I never thought it would be possible to live the life I am living now. Successful in my career, sober and safe. What I really want to talk about today is the need for this village, as it will provide a place for women and children. During my time in TFC, I personally lived with a woman who was reunited with her children for weekend visitations, and the impact it had in my life was extraordinary. The first weekend they got to see each other, I cried with them like I was part of the family. It was beautiful. I continued to be part of their journey and see them continue to reconnect throughout the years. Getting to be a part of holiday celebrations and just waking up on Saturday mornings and having breakfast with them was a blessing. For me, I had never had children, so I was getting to experience a side of life that brought a different level of joy. Another woman in the community who had a teenage autistic child who she thought she would never be reunited with, got full custody of her child and is still with her today. Watching their relationship develop and grow has been a challenge, but rewarding at the same time. Another close woman to me in the community was able to recover from addiction in her life and reconnect with her 4 children. And still today, as they are growing into adults, I am able to watch their relationships mature into more meaningful relationships. When I moved into the community in 2015, there was 1 women's home and 1 men's home. And now there are more than 10 homes for family, women and children, and men. Seeing the vision of the tiny home village come to life and provide more room for women and children to have a safe environment that not only provides a roof over their head, but a chance to change their future like it did mine, by being committed to a lifestyle change and changing the course of not only their future, but the future of their children. Help me change their future. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Daryl Avenshine, followed by Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas, hello, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for letting us speak tonight. Michael Thomas is working as our civil engineer. So this evening, I want to begin by making an apology to the organization Hemphill No Se Vende, because at the Zoning Commission, I made a statement that I had reached out to meet with them and I had not heard from them, which I had missed an email where they did respond, and we weren't able to work out a time. So I wanted to correct that, and I have asked for their apology. So I want to clarify that our project is not a homeless shelter, but rather it's a way to provide affordable, safe housing to individuals. Specifically, these tiny homes would be for single moms with children. It's not a gathering place for the homeless, but it will be a gated community with only 4 tiny houses on the current church property at 2606 Hemphill Street. Our plan is to make these available to women with children. We were blessed to receive a grant from the Rainwater Foundation specific for that purpose, and we intend to fulfill it. If you approve it tonight, we will fulfill our commitment to use these homes for women and children. Each home will be considered a single-family dwelling. Proximity to one another and to the church brings needed community and support for those in our program who have already taken major steps toward recovery and reestablishing their lives. Sadly, homelessness is growing in our city and across our nation due to the inflation of housing. So people who were doing well in maintaining their housing have been forced to live with family in their cars or in hotels or in shelters. And we hear about this every week from individuals that are contacting us to see if we have housing available, which right now we're completely full. Our program is not transitional. Once approved for the program, these ladies are going to be able to have security of a home and a community that they can be proud to live in. They also receive individual support from our team and trusted community partners such as MHMR, Cornerstone Assistance Network, Regen, a 12-step program of Watermark Church, AA, NA, and other organizations like these that we partner with. We assure you that our program and this tiny home community will be managed with the utmost excellence as each participant agrees to a certain guideline that must be met in order to be accepted into the program. So these include being a drug-free, alcohol-free, no firearms or weapons of any kind, no overnight guests without 24-hour notice. Participants must already have their sobriety, as we are not able to manage a detox portion of their recovery. There is a weekday curfew of 10 p.m. and a weekend curfew of 11 p.m. unless written permission is given otherwise or if they're working. So every participant must either be on approved assistance or working.
Thank you,
to be in
Daryl.
our program.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Richard Rossetti. Is Richard here? Hi, Richard.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. Thank you, Council. My name is Richard Richetti. I live with my wife and family at 2100 Hemphill, just 5 blocks away. Pastor Darrell has done well over a year now, done a solid job in reaching out to the neighborhoods, the neighbors, the community. He's received letters of support from Fairmount, Ryan Place, and from the Hemphill Corridor Development Committee. And during that, in receiving those positive letters of support, he also gave detailed presentations as he did tonight. And as you can see from the individual story earlier tonight, this is a fantastic opportunity for our community. And it is along the comprehensive plan for Hemphill. And with this, we know with so many people that have a challenge in their life, that many times they need neighbors, a supportive community, and basically friends around them. This would be a fantastic opportunity for our community. And as a local neighbor, my family and I are very much in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stephen Kauko. Oh, Stephen, it's totally goofy on here. Chauco, come on down. Our next speaker is Albert Butello. It's Chaco, not, there's like a space in between. There you go.
Sorry about that. Maybe that's, I'm gonna pass this out to the city council. I got everybody, each of them 9 envelopes. My name is Stephen Chaco. I am a business owner right next to Mr. Richetti. Mr. Richetti led a couple of years ago with a group near Southside into urban design. We personally stopped that urban design on our street. That would have been regulatory and harmful to our development. This tiny homes do not comply with the future mixed use of Hemphill Street. We pushed the city to make future mixed use on the street. That does not comply. What you see in front of you is petitions, copy of petitions signed by our community that did not have notice of this action. I have 2 videos that were sent to the city council, each email. You have video of that on YouTube of 2 neighbors that are directly affected by this property. They can see the fence by this church. You have the video, watch the video. It proves that they did not have notice. This is a Pandora's box the city will open into the city of Fort Worth. All vacant lots will then have opportunity to become tiny home communities. They say it's not for supportive housing or whatever it is. I don't care if it's for homelessness or whatever. No tiny home community should be developed or allowed, and especially the marginalized minority community of Fort Worth. Our community has been hurt and devastated by COVID. Allowing this to come through City of Fort Worth, you can actually create a civil rights action against you. Please ask for continuance. In the proposal I'm asking is for the Texas Open Meetings Act requirement to be allowed. 2 things happened. First, Pastor Darren said he did not reach out to Nova Hemphill No Savende. He got the email, he didn't reach out. So he stated that for a fact tonight. Second thing that Richard is talking about, that is not in the comprehensive game plan for the city of Fort Worth for Hemphill Street. It is not mixed use. Third, we as a community want an Open Meetings Act requirement met. We want a continuance by the city to please pass this forward. Give us 30 or 60 days. That's all we're asking. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Albert Butello. Untello? Is Albert here? No? That's the last of our speakers. Councilmember Beck.
Thank you. I'd like to address a couple of things that we heard tonight. First, for the members of the church, I just want to say that it's no secret I often talk about how I grew up with a mother that suffered from addiction, and it really impacted my life in a significant way. Housing was often questionable for us, and we bounced back and forth between friends and family's home in the bad times and had unstable housing in the good times. And so I really do appreciate your effort and what you're trying to do to help moms with children bring themselves up out of what is a very difficult situation. And I know we've had discussions. I had the opportunity, feels like almost a year ago, to attend a community meeting at your church to learn more about this project. And so I do applaud the community outreach that you have done for this particular project. I do have an email chain between you and a member of Hemphill No Savende, where I do see that you did attempt to reach out to him and set up a meeting, and you even offered to have a bilingual pastor from your church in attendance as well. So I appreciate that effort. There may have been some confusion in the beginning. I can't really speak to that, but I do know what I've seen. And I've seen a tremendous amount of community outreach on your behalf, so thank you for that. I'm going to have Leanne, if you could, speak real quick to the Open Meetings Act requirement before I move any further, if you don't mind.
Yes, the Open Meetings Act is by state law applicable to governmental bodies, and that is a defined term in the law. And generally speaking, it would not be applicable to a neighborhood group such as the Hemphill Corridor, which is essentially like a neighborhood/advisory type group. They do put in some recommendations, like many neighborhood groups do, to zoning commission, but that does not make them subject to the act because, again, they're not a governmental body.
Thank you. And as to the issue of notice, we did have legal pull the list of addresses that we mailed those notices to. And I did receive your video. I did watch both of those YouTube videos. And the city records indicate that they were mailed notices. Now, whether or not they read them is another story, but I feel confident that our staff does a good job of making sure that we notify residents. And I also know the tremendous amount of outreach that has been done by the church, as well as the South Hemphill Heights Neighborhood Association leadership, who has really spearheaded this particular project. It's rare that when we talk about permanent supportive housing that you have neighborhood associations in support of, one, let alone three, that we've received on this particular project. I think it's an innovative way to solve what is a real problem in this city. So I enthusiastically move for approval.
Got a motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is ZC-22-145.
Move to continue that until November 8th. There's an issue with the driveway and access lane, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion continue.
Been a busy day.
Please vote. Motion to continue passes.
Next item is ZC-22-148.
We have one speaker, Bob Willoughby. Is Bob still here? He left. Okay, that's it, Gina. This one's yours.
Improvement with excitement on this one.
Seconded.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-149.
We have a few speakers. Councilmember Nettles, our first is Dan Hayes, followed by Carroll Peters.
Good evening. Plural. It's not just Brian, the coffee guy. There is an investor involved as well. The new owners would also need to meet the requirements to change the use from a daycare to a coffee shop, and none of us know what those are tonight. This neighborhood has seen significant renaissance in recent years, and what West Meadowbrook really needs are more developable home sites, especially with an A-rated elementary school so nearby. This property is large enough that someone could build a single-family house or replat it as two home sites. A similar case will come before you in a couple of months that can provide another home site to the north of this property. In short, this rezoning fixes a problem that should have been fixed decades ago when the building burned down by rezoning it as residential, which would most certainly be the case if this was the new neighborhood being established today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is Carroll Peters, followed by Mike Phipps. Mike's here.
Thank you, Mayor Parker, City Council members, and staff for the opportunity to speak to you today about the proposal to rezone 3626 Meadowbrook Drive to single family. My name is Carroll Peters. I am a Fort Worth resident and a member of the West Meadowbrook Neighborhood Association. I am also a past president and a board member of the association. The vacant lot at 3626 Meadowbrook Drive has been a nuisance since it was reclaimed by the city for non-payment of taxes a decade ago. Rezoning this property has been a priority for the West Meadowbrook neighborhood since 2012. At least 3 presidents of West Meadowbrook Neighborhood Association have worked to change the zoning from commercial to single family. Special thanks to Councilmember Nettles for taking the initiative to request that the property be rezoned. It was long overdue. I stand in support of the zoning recommended unanimously by the Zoning Commission because it is in the best interests of those who live adjacent to the property and want a voice in what operates there in the future. Homeowners located across the street and behind the property, as well as those on nearby streets, uniformly support the rezoning. No other commercial property is located within 2 miles of this address. The neighborhood is residential in nature. The more than 40 homeowners who signed a petition supporting the rezoning case look forward to the sale of the rezoned property to a suitable buyer who appreciates the beauty and integrity of Meadowbrook Drive and will respect the voice of neighbors in its development. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Mike Phipps, followed by Michael Kindler.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening. I'm here regarding this property being a problem property for the past 10 years, as has already been mentioned. Back in 2014 is whenever I found out that the property was in the hands of the city, that the city was the steward of that property. I look at it as the neighborhood associations, not the steward of one property, but the whole neighborhood as a whole. And I feel that this property being changed from ER commercial to residential only complements those in the area already and gives the established homes in the area and the owners of the opportunity to maintain and control that property that's beside them today. In the past, it was a daycare, gravel lot. It was the most hideous, and still is to this day, the most hideous property on Meadowbrook Drive. And if there's anyone who can convert that, it would be Brian, because he definitely has done a lot with the corner where he's at today, with the curb appeal and everything. I mean, he's done a great job with that location. I just don't feel that this is the proper location, not saying it's not for his business, but I don't feel that the property needs to stay as an ER as it is today. The signatures before you, we walked the area at that time asking. They had already received the notification from the city stating that the zoning change was coming about. We asked them, would they support the zoning to residential, and they were, I mean, there's 42 signatures, and those are homesteaded properties that surround that property. The rentals are marked. It does say the blue dots, which I didn't have enough of, so I went with green, and I forgot to change the text to green dots. There are 2 blue dots on there, and those are support but did not sign. So there are 42 who did, 2 that did not, and the rest are rentals around there. So I just ask that you please support the change from ER zoning to A5 residential as it is presented before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker is Michael Kindler, followed by Lori Kindler.
Hi. Myself and my wife have been residents of Meadowbrook for over 20 years. And probably the most exciting business that's happened in the area is Coffee Folk. I don't know if anybody in the city council has been there on a nice Saturday and seen how much of a community center it has just kind of become just by Brian and Gina making this business, putting it in a spot, doing it with a lot of care and consideration to the neighborhood, and people just go there and have a coffee and they enjoy. I probably meet a new person in the neighborhood every other time that I go there. It's just a miraculous little place. So I'm really confused by the idea of them having another place that would become any kind of a nuisance. If, as one person was saying, that he needs more details in order to be able to be comfortable with what this business is going to be. Why do we need to make the zoning now to strictly residential? Why not, okay, let's see what we can do here. This could be something wonderful for the community. The people that are objecting to it can have the opportunity to see a fleshed out plan and say, wow, I wish I would have not said no to that. Let's wait and get more of an idea of what this is going to be. As far as the survey that went out, with all due respect to the person that did that, I think that was probably potentially a biased survey. It's a group that's against this, asking people to sign a signature to say that they're against it. So I think that is a little, I don't think that's a proper thing to take into consideration. I'm 54 years old now, and when I was less than 10, my brother and I lived in a little neighborhood in Ogden, Utah, and we walked down the street to a little convenience store to get drinks. We'd probably have my parents turn into CPS now if they knew that kids that young were walking down the street to a business. But I think that we can all agree that we have been to places where we have been in neighborhoods, whether it be here or in other cities, where you have these conveniences that are weaved into the neighborhood, and they make the neighborhood unique and one of a kind, and they're the kinds of places that make a neighborhood a place that we even love living more than it being just another house. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Lori Kindler, followed by Brian Milligan.
Good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to speak. That was my husband that just spoke. We've been residents of Meadowbrook for 22 years. We love the neighborhood, and as was spoken before, there's a renaissance happening. We just want to see positive things happen in our neighborhood. It's a beautiful, wonderful neighborhood, eclectic mixture of homes and people. And the one thing we're lacking is amenities. When I grocery shop, I have to leave Meadowbrook. When I go out to dinner, I have to leave Meadowbrook. Any services, most of them, I have to leave Meadowbrook. We want things in our neighborhood. I understand that the property has been an eyesore, but if it's been an eyesore for 10 years, why did it take this long to get rezoned? Just when there's some interest in it to do something with the property and to do something that would be so beneficial for the neighborhood, why is it happening now? Why didn't it happen 10 years ago? I don't understand why it took so long to come up to be rezoned. We were led to believe that the neighborhood was in favor of the property staying the status as it is now. So Brian and Gina with Coffee Folk would have the opportunity to use the property. So we were under the impression that the neighborhood was in favor and that they were supporting them. And so we were surprised when the rezoning case came up because we just weren't aware of that. So I just want to say I fully support them. I love Meadowbrook. I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I just want more amenities there for us. And like my husband said, their location now, it's just become a place for the neighborhood and community together. And it's just a beautiful spot they've created. We would like to have the opportunity. It wouldn't just be a coffee shop because it is a large property. I mean, we have ideas of, we could have possibly a farmer's market. Could be other things that could be happening there too. It wouldn't just be a coffee shop. There would be other things that would be available for the residents. And that's what we want. We want Meadowbrook to grow and to be, a wonderful place to live because we all enjoy it now, but we just need more amenities there for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Brian Milligan.
Good evening. My name is Brian Milligan. I've been a Meadowbrook resident for 17 years. My two daughters have grown up there. And 6 years ago, my wife and I, Gina, she and I started a coffee shop, which when we had first conceived of the idea, we looked all over the city looking for dense commercial areas in which to do that, knowing that that's most likely the best opportunity to have a successful businesses to do it in a business location where other businesses thrive. So, but after thinking about it, we decided we would like to located within our neighborhood because that's what we've always wanted, is a shop and a business within our neighborhood that we could walk to. So we've been really surprised by the community's support over the past nearly 6 years, and it's a bit of a complicated case now because a lot of people that have spoke are Mike, Carroll, and Dan. They are all in support of this change, as they mentioned, are in support of our purchasing the property. And we've been in communication with the city councilman over the last year, spoken to the real estate department, to the economic development department, and everyone seems supportive. But there was a push at the last minute to convert it to residential. And there, a lot of the people mentioned that they spoke to on that list also were said, hey, they all also mentioned their support for coffee folk moving there, but there was supposedly a plan in place where if we converted to residential, we could still occupy it through a conditional use permit, but been informed by the someone with the city through the councilman's office that that is not a possibility, so that it will need to be zoned as it is, ER, in order for us to occupy the space. So I'm requesting, like I guess the word's continuance, I think that was used, something just to buy a little more time to show that we do have all of the ability to provide a proper site plan. It was just through miscommunication and not providing accurate information about like when these things were desired and when it was, you know, when to do it, that we have lacked that. So it's not my fault for not providing it sooner, but I hope that through the other people that spoke, and I have quickly a letter from another member of the West Meadowbrook Neighborhood Association, Leslie Shields, as proposed incoming president of WMNA. I support appropriate neighborhood commercial for 3626 Meadowbrook Drive. I believe the neighborhood commercial and walkability. Prime examples of these are Fairmount, like Arts Fifth, the Magnolia area.
Thank you, Brian. Chris, that's the last of our speakers.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to make some comments, and then Dana sat on a Zoom call with us, and I want her to speak to what some of the ideas that we have. But I want to address a few things. Number one, I want to address Meadowbrook on a couple of things about, you talked about we've been wanting this change for 10 years. And the reality is, I have sat in this seat for 1.5 years. And so those talks, those communications wasn't with me and my office, my predecessor. And so when we first got in office and you showed your concern, we took it serious and we got to work for Meadowbrook. And sometimes it's alarming when we work as hard for a community because it's our constituents. So we want to make sure we take care of the people who live there. But I received some text messages and emails today in regards to a meeting that I had with coffee folk, and as if I was being ingenuous or hiding, and it was kind of alarming a little bit. The meeting we had today was to discuss an opportunity of a direct sale and how the plan would move forward. Because one of the things that you guys said to us is, we want coffee folk to have it. And it sometimes just don't work like that. It has to go through a bidding process. And so when we looked at it going on the bidding process, it went on, and when we wanted to do the zoning request at your request, we pulled it out the bidding. And then it went back on and we pulled it again. And that was because we want to make sure that we do what our constituents want and desire, because you live there, you work there. And so when we talked with the attorneys and with the planning department, it's been available for sale many times before these two bidding processes. And so we was trying to come to a understanding. If you have watched me sit on council, I believe in trying to make sure we have development and the community is pleased with it. And I think one of the ladies was here talking about, it almost sounded like my campaign speech. We need amenities. We need things to come. We need small businesses. I remember like it was yesterday. Those are the same things that we talked about. And so I want to bring small businesses. I am a small business owner myself, and I support small businesses. And so when we talk today, I think somebody asked the question, well, why would you just want to leave it as ER? That was me who said that. And let me tell you why. Is because this has been an eyesore for this community for some time. And so the community wants to be able to participate in the process to make sure whatever development goes here, that they are in agreement of it. And so with the zoning process of changing to A5, it allows you guys to come back with a planned development, or even if it's gonna be ER, with restrictions to do whatever it is that you want. And so when I met with you guys today, with Brian and I think Stephen, one of the questions I asked is, what else do you want besides a coffee? And the idea of just different things. And I told you that I don't move off of ideas. I need a site plan. I need an insurance. This is what's going to be, and we can add the restrictions to any ER or E. And that's what we're going to plan to do. And I want to give you my commitment, and I think Dana's going to come. I want to give you my commitment that if the community, from what I understand, wants coffee folk to have it, then we still would plan to do a direct sale. And we will make sure that we work with you guys to do the zoning request and the application if you're serious about this property. And so I want Dana to give the idea that we came up with towards the end of the meeting.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Councilmember Nettles. So the suggestion was to proceed with the A5 one-family zoning as initiated by the City Council through a resolution, and then to have the coffee folk and community members work together on a zoning proposal. We can then come back to council with a resolution to initiate that change in accordance with the comprehensive plan, bring that forward, and then at that point, enter into a direct sale with coffee folk, if that works out to everybody's satisfaction.
So we will come up with a plan that works with the community and coffee folk. Once that plan is developed, we will initiate a zoning change to change it back to the correct zoning. After that, we will do a direct sale. That's the plan, because we want to make sure that you guys are serious about the property, and that we're going to go through the whole process, and that you guys are satisfied with what you want to do as a small business owner, as well as the community gets rid of the eyesore and that they are satisfied. So today, my vote to approve this motion is not saying I don't want coffee folk to have it. It's saying we're going to go through this process that we just stated today. So that's my motion to approve this zoning changes that I initiated for this community to move forward.
There's a motion and a second, council. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC, MNC 220772 was continued to October 25th. Next item is MNC 220824.
Thank you. Motion and a second, council. Please vote. Leonard. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 220807.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 22-0819.
Motion a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 22-0852.
Council, we're going to close an adjournment this evening in honor of Gary Wayne Gilly, who passed away just a few days ago.
I'm going to read his obituary here, but I know his son Trent is also in the audience. We appreciate you coming this evening and staying late with us. Gary was a good friend to all of Fort Worth and had a wonderful career in life. He was born on July 1st, 1944, and graduated Azle High School in 1962. He attended Tarleton State University and volunteered as a Navy Seabee to serve in Vietnam. After 2 tours, he was honorably discharged and took a position at Brooks Bear Surveyors, the oldest land surveying company, and had a distinguished career in land surveying. Gary was deeply passionate about the city of Fort Worth and Tarrant County. In 1986, he was elected to represent District 6 on the city council and served for 5 years, 3 as mayor pro tem under Mayor Bob Bolin. Working alongside his peers, Gary was instrumental in the creation of Alliance Airport and the Fort Worth Sister Cities International Program. His proudest accomplishments while on council was working with his friend and fellow councilman Burt Williams to take a stand against South African apartheid and to fully divest Fort Worth from investments in that country. He considered representing Fort Worth and serving its citizens to his highest honor, and he continued to support the city anytime he was asked and enjoyed taking those calls. Gary had a tremendous love for all things outdoors, as you can see from this beautiful picture here. He loved his English pointers, loved quail hunting on the back of his horse, beautiful trout stream shared with friends and a round of golf with no wind with his longtime buddies Trent or Doug. But he especially loved spending time with all his treasured grandchildren. He was preceded in death by his parents, Edward and Dorothy, his brother Ron, survived by his wife, Kathy Tarpley, his daughter Teresa, and her husband Doug, his son Trent, granddaughters Lillian and Claire, stepsons Bill and Troy, and many other family members. He just had his service on Monday. I know that it was a beautiful service, and new memorials can be made in honor of John Peter Smith Foundation. I think it's important that we recognize those that have come before us and served this community so valiantly. He also was a lot of fun, and I got to have a campaign event with him at Magnolia Motor Lounge before it closed. Trent, we love you, and we're so sorry about your loss, but we're honoring your father here today. Thank you.